Inclusion, trust, and policy are the foundations of India's digital economy. Mastercard is at the center of these conversations.
I'm at the Global Fintech Fest 2025. I'm in conversation with Ravi Aurora, Senior Vice President, Global Government Affairs and Policy. Ravi, can you believe that this is the scene of a fintech festival? I'm told that there are 3 lakh visiting this festival for something as exotic as finance technology.
Correct,
Right?
correct.
That ties into my first question. Is this what makes India such a high potential market for Mastercard?
Absolutely. I think that, this itself is a testament. You look at the diversity just present in this pavilion of the various providers in the fintech space, right, is a testament to the digitization journey of India and the rapid pace at which, digital technology, digital payments technology has advanced in India. And I think this is truly a testament to that. And it is such a wide range of companies here that are serving this financial ecosystem.
And is this a sign of the competitive nature of this industry because there's booths every 5 feet?
Indeed. Indeed. And I think, competition drives innovation, right? So we truly welcome that. And it's fabulous to see.
So Ravi, if you will take us into the Mastercard war room in the US, that's where you're based normally. When you get together and you discuss India as a market, as a group of consumers, what are you saying about India inside Mastercard?
India's aspirations, if we look at it from, a couple things come to my mind, right? There is the Viksit Bharat, right? Everybody should grow together. There is the $5 trillion economy. There is a $1 trillion digital economy that the Prime Minister's vision is on, where he would like to see that progress, right? And I think that all of what we see happening around us and where Mastercard we are focused on is to say, because this is a market that allows scale to drive scale and impact. Right, and we have been focusing on driving inclusion, empowerment, and it's multifaceted, whether it is a focus on women entrepreneurs, on agris, on MSMEs. You look at every segment in terms of, on the agriculture side, 18% of GDP, half the workforce in the country is in that segment. You look at MSMEs, I think 63, crores of MSMEs and the tremendous impact to the GDP. So each one is a very, very important segment. Now, what is there is also if there are unmet, there's a credit gap, right? So when we as a technology company in the payments business are looking at India, we're seeing like it's not only, it is about driving inclusion, scale, impact, addressing security, building trust in the ecosystem, driving e-commerce. But at the same time, the saying is, how do we harness public-private partnerships? How do we bring in other players, fintech players and providers to bring, new solutions that Mastercard, by virtue of working in 210 countries and territories worldwide, can we bring the best of our learning here to India, and at the same time take our learnings from here into other markets. So India is, I think, a very vibrant and we have, very a long-term commitment. We already have, I think, 28 to 30% of our global workforce in India. Nearly 8,000 people, my colleagues, and these are all high-tech jobs that are in India. Best of engineers who are, developing cutting-edge solutions.
Ravi, you've seen the regulatory environment both in India and around the world. You said 210 countries just now. How does Indian regulation compare with the best in the world?
I think that we have a very progressive regulator in the Reserve Bank of India. Payments vision document that the RBI puts forth, because every 3 years, there's a payments vision document that came out 2022, 2025. I think the RBI has a very clear articulation of where they want to see payments and digitization head into the country. And they have been, and they seek a lot of industry input into that particular process. And I think that RBI, if you really look at it, is amongst one of the leading regulators in the world, both in terms of its, I would say, both vision and progressive mindset, and also allowing for like a regulatory sandbox environment to persist, where it allows players to come together and experiment, before a go-to-market approach. So I find that to be a very, very conducive environment here in this country.
Ravi, internally to Mastercard, you need to balance innovation with regulation while ensuring compliance and customer trust and understanding. How do you balance these seemingly contradictory forces?
Actually, I think, personally, I think they really go hand in hand, right? Because you can't, there's no trade-offs, right? They have to go hand in hand. Because at the end of the day, you brought up a very important point around trust, right? So, because trust is paramount to everything, for the consumer, for the regulator, for the merchant, everybody in the whole ecosystem, right? And I think at Mastercard, our principles are we have a privacy by design kind of a mandate. So any product, any solution, anything that starts at Mastercard, there is a team across that keeps the consumer at the center, and our privacy design principles come into play at every step of the way. Of course, we abide by local laws and regulations in every market that we operate. We have to make sure of that are you compliant with all of the guidelines in that specific market, and here, obviously, in India. But then at the same time, we have some very robust set of global principles around privacy. So for example, we believe that every consumer has the right to their data, right? And they should know, and they have the right to how it is used. Our job is to protect it. And how do we secure it? Because that safety, security brings in, the trust, which is why Mastercard, I mean, as much as we say we are a technology company in the payments business, we are as much a cybersecurity company, having invested over, $7 to $8 billion just in the last 5 years alone, purely into safety and security and cybersecurity. So I think that the whole innovation, regulation, it kind of goes hand in hand to making sure that we bring in the best of those principles to safeguard and have the right guardrails to safeguard consumer trust.
Ravi, you just spoke about the regulatory sandbox, for instance. You innovate in the sandbox, you succeed, and you're out in the market. On an ongoing basis, tell us a little bit about the challenges of compliance.
Every market in terms of compliance has its own specific requirements,
and those
right?
change as well.
And they can change, right? But I think where we work towards is, and I think India is very good at that, is interoperability and harmonization of standards. And I think this is where the compliance aspect becomes, you could say, less challenging by our work with set of regulators and industry bodies and regulatory bodies, contributing to the harmonization of standards as such. And I think that helps us and other industry players as well, right? In terms of making sure that we are kind of able to bring the best-in-class solutions, that work on an interoperable basis, because technically you and I, let's say as consumers, right, whether we are using whatever form factor, it could be, your biometrics, it could be a mobile device, right, it could be wearables or my card in my wallet, right, wherever I use in, whether I'm online or in person or tap and go or in whichever environment, each one has compliance and regulatory guidelines, that we need to follow. But I think that if countries operate in silo, that becomes challenging. But when we can harmonize standards and there is drive interoperability, then it makes the consumer experience very seamless. And that is really what we work towards.
Is there any one learning from India that you take back to a market like the US?
If you look at, how India has been at the forefront of digital public infrastructure, right? India hosted the G20 last year. the DPI principles were embedded into the G20 and certain adoption of the languages that all the countries came together. And if you look at the kind of the building blocks around, right from Aadhaar to payments to an aggregator framework, all of those are phenomenal building blocks that I think that it allows us to be able to export best-in-class models and build use cases that can then be adapted or in other country circumstances. So I think India is a shining example of that.
So Ravi, a final question for you. I can't let you go without asking you this. You spoke about inclusion just a little while ago. I visited your booth. You work with Airtel Payments Bank and Haq Darshak, an NGO. Tell us a little bit about the work that you do in this zone.
So inclusion, as mentioned, is a big part of Mastercard, right? Because all of us.
And it's not just CSR.
It's a part of our core business. It's about, we always say at Mastercard, it is doing well by doing good.
Mm-hmm.
And inclusion is not it's not like it's this person's job or this person's. It's all of us, combined in it's core strategy for us, right? And I think that this is where Mastercard about 5 years ago took on, and we said we are going to empower 500 million people into the digital economy, and then we upped that to 1 billion people by adding 500 million more, and we said we'll bring 50 million SMEs into the digital economy and 25 million women-owned or women-led businesses.
Those are big numbers.
Those are big numbers. Now, this is a global number. Now, from that, if I take now in coming into India, we have what we call as a project Strive. And Strive is something that we have across the globe in many markets. And under our Strive India program, the Airtel and the Harsh Darshak program and other programs that we are doing, whether it is for artisans, MSMEs and others, the idea is to empower women entrepreneurs by them being able to go in their tier 3, tier 4 dwellings and those towns where they are. We work with our partners to help provide the training, the education, so that they can then have the right source of livelihood, right? And then they can expand their horizon and be able to be those agents on the ground. Because one of the things goes back to the trust, because that trust comes when people, let's say in villages or that who may be hesitant, they need to interact and learn from folks that they can trust that my money is secure. Because letting go of cash can be a big hurdle, right? Because you don't know. But at the same time, I mean, yesterday even I was listening to some of the ladies at our booth who have been actual proponents on ground. And it is so heartwarming to see how their own status within their own communities, within their own household has changed by virtue of being an earner, right? And not just that, and now having that power in digital form where they know it is safe and secure, gives them even a further peace of mind, right? Because you educate a woman, and you educate a whole family, which is why we are so focused on helping build that skill set of women entrepreneurs. And so I think we've already surpassed the goal of 500,000 that we had set out, way ahead of schedule. And I think the teams are working, to expand some of those targets so that we can continue to work with partners such as Airtel, Harsh Darshak, and many others as part of our Project Strive initiative to continue to empower women.
Ravi Aurora, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
All the best with the stellar work that you're doing.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching.
By building trust and enabling inclusion, Mastercard is shaping India's fintech future.